Chinese hackers suspected in a massive data breach affecting 4 million former and current federal employees.
The names and social security numbers of more than 1 million people may have been compromised.
The data breach compromised more than 2 million customers, and WDFW is saying it knew the system had vulnerabilities.
Malicious software was discovered this morning. Democratic caucus officials aren't saying what ransom was demanded or if they paid to get their data back.
The malware known as WannaCry has been causing chaos across the globe. 200,000 systems in 150 countries.
The latest, this video from a fringe pro-ISIS hacking group threatening a cyber attack is coming.
But if you swiped your credit card between July 2nd and July 4th, your information could have been compromised.
Financial and cyber experts warn the Equifax hack has the potential to haunt Americans for decades, and every adult should assume their information was stolen.
One person, one click. When you think about cyber attacks, it frequently comes down to something that simple, and having the legislative network compromised can happen that fast. LegTech uses a variety of hardware and software tools to protect the legislative network. On an average day during session, we receive nearly 70,000 email messages. Our tools identify between 15 and 20% as malware, spam, or phishing, and we block about 9 million internet intrusion attempts per day. The Washington State Legislature is often a major target for domestic and foreign hackers because we're confused with Washington, D.C. due to our domain name, leg.wa.gov. State and local governments are increasingly finding themselves under attack from hackers known as hacktivists. Hacktivism is a blend of hacking and activism for a political or social cause. Unlike cybercriminals who hack into computer networks to steal data for cash, most hacktivists consider themselves as hacking for a cause. Early in 2016, hackers launched a cyber attack against the state of Michigan's main website to draw attention to the Flint water crisis. In May, they targeted North Carolina's government websites to protest a controversial state law. In July, they took aim at the city of Baton Rouge's website after a fatal police shooting. Automated tools and infrastructure help. However, security experts maintain that the first and best line of defense against a cyber attack or data breach is people. People who are knowledgeable and can follow these guidelines. Identify and respond to common threats. And avoid putting the network, software, and data at risk by following security best practices. In this video, you'll learn the knowledge and skills necessary to do your part and protect yourself and the legislative network. Discussions of cybersecurity often begin with the importance of passwords, and rightfully so, as passwords are the primary defense of your legislative account. Hackers exploit weak passwords using a technique called brute force attack. In such an attack, hackers use special software to guess your password. The software runs all possible passwords and passphrase combinations until the correct one is found. Weak passwords such as 123456 or password are particularly susceptible to such an attack. A weak administrative password was a contributing factor in the 2017 Equifax breach. To address this risk, the legislature implemented a complex password requirement and a lockout threshold for incorrect password attempts. People are using complex passwords. However, passwords that use common cultural references, including sports teams or Star Wars characters, or common strings of numbers and punctuation, are less secure. People often resort to unsafe workarounds to remember the password, which become even greater cybersecurity risks, such as leaving it written on a piece of paper in a desk drawer or under a keyboard. Another serious problem is sharing passwords. The legislature has had issues with departing staff logging in and accessing the network using other people's credentials. This is only discovered after the fact. So how can you be safe? Follow these best practices. Don't use a password from a personal account with your legislative account. Keep your password private. Keep your password in your head and not under a keyboard or in a drawer. Personally identifiable information, or PII, is information that, when combined, identifies a specific individual. For example, a person's name combined with one or more of the following items constitutes PII. Social security number, date of birth, medical records, protected health information or PHI, financial information, or education records. People may provide PII to legislative staff to get assistance with a problem, for a research study, or to provide background for a bill. It is our responsibility to protect it by following these best practices. Don't store it on a commercial third-party cloud app such as Google Drive, Dropbox, or iCloud. Don't print it unless you absolutely have to. Don't email it to someone. Don't leave it unattended on your desk or on a printer. Don't copy it from secure drives or devices. The cost of not following these best practices can be severe. A 2015 study found that data breaches cost an average of $3.5 million between hiring experts, investigating the cause, setting up hotlines, and offering credit monitoring for victims. While the costs add up, the loss in reputation could be just as damaging. If you think PII has been compromised, call the LegTech Help Desk 360-786-7000, and we will work with you to ensure that the information is stored securely. Rather than try to break into a company or system, many hackers take a far easier route. They attempt to scam people into voluntarily providing the private information, such as an account name or password, bank account number, or credit card information. These attempts, called phishing, have some common characteristics that can make them easy to spot, such as containing poor grammar and spelling, although this is being seen less, claiming to be from the help desk or IT department, saying the situation is urgent, wanting your personal information, or prompting you to open an attachment or click a link to a website. If you hover over hyperlinks in an email message, the destination may not match the link name. That can be a clue. A related threat is ransomware. Ransomware is malicious software that is sent using phishing messages. These phishing messages use the same techniques to get you to click a link, to go to an infected website, or to open an infected attachment. Once your computer is compromised, a program attempts to encrypt your data and demands payment in order to access it. The infection can affect a single computer, or in the case of the Pennsylvania Senate Democratic Caucus, move from one computer to another and compromise an entire network. Ransomware attempts have also struck the legislature. In 2016, a very realistic ransomware message with an infected attachment called Resume reached a person who was receiving applications for session positions. Fortunately, the person was working on the terminal server, which prevented the software from reaching the hard drive and encrypting the personal files. In this case, the attack wasn't successful. However, it wasn't without cost. It took LegTech staff over 12 hours to rebuild the terminal server, and while that was happening, performance for others was significantly reduced due to greater demand for fewer available services. What should you do if you get a suspicious message? When you see a suspicious email, no matter how obvious it might be, report it before you delete it and call the help desk at 7000. If the message is malicious, LegTech staff will block and report it to prevent future deliveries and notify legislative staff depending on the message and the number of people who received it. In many cases, you will receive messages before LegTech staff are aware of the threat. You are a critical element in keeping the legislature safe. But what if you're the one? Phishing and ransomware attacks are becoming more sophisticated. They prey on people who move quickly and take things at face value. Anyone can get caught off guard. The key is to respond quickly to minimize the damage. If you accidentally click a link or open an attachment, call the help desk at 7000 immediately. We'll scan your machine or remove it from the network and get you a new one while we analyze your machine and safely restore it. Not all threats come from email. A threat could come from a USB drive you found in the hallway, a person claiming to be from IT, or even your own personal device. Malicious hardware, such as a virus-laden USB drive, is a serious threat. A 2016 study by the University of Illinois found that nearly half the people who found USB drives in a parking lot inserted them into a computer, often within minutes of finding them, and thereby exposing the network to attack. In the legislative environment, whether finding a device on the grounds, in a parking lot, or in your office, the recommendation is the same. Call the help desk at 7000. If you don't know who provided you the device, let LegTech staff check it out for you. We can determine whether it's safe without you having to take the risk. In an open environment like the legislature, it's possible for a person to contact you by phone or in person trying to represent themselves as being from the IT department, and asking you for your confidential information or access to your computer. Last year, legislative staff received voicemail messages from people informing them that their virus protection was out of date and needed to be upgraded. These messages were not from legislative staff.
This call is in regard to the security software we installed on your computer last year. Now we see a red flag on our end stating there is a security breach on it. Please call.
If you have concerns, always call the help desk at 7000 for verification. Many members and staff access their legislative email from a personal smartphone, tablet, or personal computer. It's important to ensure that your own devices are safe as well. Keep your device updated on patches. Invest in virus protection. Follow the same best practices at home as you do at work. Cybersecurity threats are not going away, and the legislature is a prime target. Hackers want to steal confidential information or to make a statement regarding a particular political organization or faction. The impacts of a successful cyber attack or data breach to the legislature can include embarrassment, loss of productivity, loss of data, diminished confidence in the institution, and financial liabilities. If it happens, people are going to ask, how and why did this occur? And was the legislature doing everything to ensure people are following cybersecurity best practices? How will you answer?